Welcome to the AllCloud Cloud and Clear magazine. And today we have with us Mr. Nathaniel Assis from AllCloud. Hello, Nathaniel.
Hi.
And we're going to be speaking about infrastructure as code delivery pipelines. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Well, hello, Nathaniel. How are you?
Great. Thanks, Lee. Happy to be here.
So tell us, what do you do at AllCloud?
I head the Managed Services Platform group here at AllCloud, where our main task is to manage our customers' delivery pipeline and various IT tasks.
Now, take us through it. What is infrastructure as code delivery pipelines? Can you break it down for us so we'd understand what we're talking about?
Yes. In very high level, let's break it down into two
Sure.
parts. The first part is the infrastructure as code, where this is a concept of managing your operational environment and infrastructure the same way you manage your software delivery code. The same exact thing.
Okay.
And the infrastructure as code delivery pipeline breaks down that process into stages. And each one of those stages provides feedback and visibility to the cloud platform engineers, or to my team, for example, to give us that information and give us the tools to make the correct decision on how to move forward.
And to prevent certain things.
And to prevent errors, of course.
Right. So can you describe for us an example of a pipeline you're managing and talk a little bit about that?
Yes, of course. Actually, we have one great example is HPE. HPE have embraced the AWS cloud. One of our teams have implemented multiple pipelines at HPE, and one very important pipeline is actually the governance pipeline, which is a serverless pipeline, and which is responsible for new account provisioning and the maintaining of existing accounts. Now, HPE provisions new accounts in a pretty fast pace, and these pipelines give HPE that ability to maintain such a vast environment.
What happens? Talk us through it. What happens when somebody makes a change not according to the plan of the pipeline?
Well, that's actually a very good question. Simply put, it's not possible. We implement many safeguards in our delivery pipeline, starting even with your source code repository, whereas which branch is allowed to trigger the pipeline. Developers cannot push anything directly to, for example, the master branch without a pull request. And for continuing with strict IAM policies, a developer cannot do any changes to the environment on his own. In fact, the only the delivery pipeline is the only entity that has those permissions.
And is managed by whom?
It's managed by the cloud platform engineers.
Right.
But that entity which does the changes, which deploys the changes, is the only entity that is able to do those changes. If I were to try to change something from my laptop or something, it would just not work. I would not have any permissions.
And therein lies the benefit.
Of course.
So what would one have to do to go about implement such a methodology? Which tools should I use?
Every organization implements their delivery pipeline a bit differently in a way that it will suit their needs. There's no one size fits all.
Okay.
Great tools that can be used today is like on AWS, it's code build and code pipeline, Jenkins. There are a vast amount of tools there.
Well, how would you go about deciding which tool to use? Well, how would you compare? What are the criteria that you would use to make a decision?
Well, there are a lot of criterias, but let's try and compare services such as code build and code pipeline with Jenkins, um, where services that are like code build and pipeline are managed by AWS. So you do not have to maintain the infrastructure for it. You don't have to worry about maintenance, performance, and scale. Whereas with Jenkins, which is a wonderful tool that has so many plugins, which eases your work, and you can create great pipelines with it. However, in Jenkins' case, you are the one that have to manage and maintain the infrastructure. You're the one that has to worry about performance and scale and things of that nature.
All right. So, how do you track the changes going through the pipeline? What kind of interface would you have? What is the process there?
Well, if you recall, when we talked about the delivery pipeline and said that it breaks it down to stages, every one of those stages provide us like a feedback and reports that tell us exactly what are the changes in the code which is flowing through our pipeline. And at any point, we know exactly what are the changes that need to be implemented and the changes that are going to be done on our operational environment. And then we either approve or deny those changes.
So, what are the main benefits that you think um, a company can have by implementing delivery pipeline? The top two, top three.
I think that, I mean, from my background myself, I even came from an enterprise company before starting to work on the cloud. And one of the worst things that we experienced was the prolonged duration of delivering new code or creating new infrastructure with if it's not cloud, it's considered legacy, and it just takes too long. When you move to the cloud and implement a good delivery pipeline, you just can't compare the time to market and the benefits you can enjoy by implementing such methodologies. One of the key benefits of having like infrastructures, code pipelines, is the the ability to continuously deliver new code and have the ability to handle events where something went wrong. It's very, very easy to roll back and go back to a functioning state should something like that happen. Before that, it was just not possible. I mean, restoring to a previous release without the capabilities of the cloud, something that can take hours.
Is it easy to adopt, or do you find that people once introduced to delivery pipelines find it intimidating?
Well, I think that's what we're here for, to make that transition easy. We have some organizations that incorporate it very easily, and that's like the more younger organizations. Don't have legacy code or like really complicated architectures, which are very hard to migrate and separate because when you work on the cloud, it does impact how you code, how you would code your software, how would you architect the data flow, and especially with legacy products, it is a bit harder, but it's definitely doable.
Is it widespread, or is this just starting? Are we just beginning this kind of concept of?
Well, I think that I think that every most new startups or small tech savvy organizations do incorporate this culture. On the enterprise side, at least here in Israel, we do see this change. In fact, here at AllCloud, we work with a lot of enterprise customers, which we help them adapt this culture and move to the cloud.
And finally, what I wanted to ask you is, how do you foresee the DevOps role, looking into the future, let's say 2020? Where are we going with this? What kind of changes are we to expect?
Mm-hmm. Well, first, I think that I believe that the DevOps role is critical today, especially for organizations that are looking to move to the cloud and embrace that methodology. Unfortunately, today the term DevOps is kind of used too loosely. Anyone who's ever built an RPM or deployed an EC2 instance on AWS considers him or herself as a DevOps engineer. In fact, some organizations abandoned it. They don't even use this term. They either use production engineers or something of that nature.
Right.
I believe that in the future, the role will be much more code-oriented and will focus on building platform-driven applications. And because of that, I think that the term DevOps will probably be abandoned altogether and hopefully change to something like
so it's temporary, right?
Something like that.
It's a phase. The name is a phase, or the
Yeah,
role.
no, it's a very, very critical culture, and it brought us to this stage that we're able to embrace the cloud.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, Nathaniel. It's been a pleasure having you.
Happy to be here. It's great.
We'll see you in our next chapter of the Cloud and Clear magazine.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.